politics, and power. On the previous program, we began speaking about opposition politics and opposition parties' chances of winning elections throughout the world. Let me qualify the discussion to say that when we speak, generally we speak of democracies. And the times when we do not discuss democracy, which is the prevailing norm, the prevailing form, the prevailing regime type of city-states around the world, we will make particular mentions of the regime that we're discussing. As a general rule of thumb, the discussions on this series of programs centers around democracies and parliamentary democracies. So we understand, as discussed on the previous program, that it is extremely difficult for opposition parties to emerge as winners of general elections in a parliamentary democracy. And it demands on the system, more than any other system, that the electoral processes must be fair and must be free from fear and in the benefit of all interested parties throughout the process. We also raise the point that the people decides on who ultimately forms the regime. But there are a number of initiatives provided by the system which could be implemented to ensure that one particular regime or a group of parties form a regime, coalition regimes. And many countries around the world have coalition regimes and oppositions. When the people decide to distribute power among the parties, those parties agree to come together to form a regime to lead the government or to form the opposition. So the people determines the balance of power either way. Say, for instance, the people in a particular Caribbean state vote in 15 candidates to form the governing regime. 9 come from one party and the others come from different parties. The one which has 9 candidates would form the government. Let's suppose that no party had a majority of 8 candidates. This means that the government which will be in place would most likely be a coalition government. Or let's suppose a party wins 8 of the 15 seats. This is pretty much a balanced party in terms of the power of the opposition. So this party would most likely look for members within the opposition sector to make that governing structure stronger. And this is normal in governing democracies. And the same can be true for the opposition parties. However, candidates don't move from governing parties to opposition very quickly because obviously the perks are greater in government. But there have been cases where people have switched allegiance from government to opposition. Now, it really comes down to what the people decide, who the people elect. And when the people make those determinations, then the parties work with each other to determine who shares the balance of power. The people will have another say at the next electoral cycle to decide on a fresh mandate. But there is this jigsaw puzzle that takes place even beyond the control of the people, whereby the quest for power is concerned. Remember, the people vote and parties seek power. When one's power is placed in the hands of parties, a number of things happen. However, whatever happens should happen with the blessings and the consent of the people at every time. Because in democracies, the electorates always have the final say, as the elected members of parliament and the governing regime must always return to the people to seek their mandate, to seek their power, to seek their authority, and to seek their consent to rule. Politics and power.